Hello everybody, welcome back to our factorization series. Today we're going to be looking at trinomial factorization where our coefficient is not 1. So instead of in the previous video where we had a 1 in front of the x squared, here we will have something along the lines of 6, 2, whatever. It's just not going to be 1. So makes things a little bit trickier, but the strategy remains the same. It's just that we're gonna have to eliminate a couple of more factors, So when doing this, you're basically gonna have to really start getting okay with getting things wrong. And I will always return to this whole channel, everything in maths. I'm gonna keep hitting home that you have to get things wrong. If you're not getting things wrong, you're not doing it right. So let's kick things off. So right here, we can already see something. We have 6x squared, we have 8x, we have 2. As I've said in previous videos, the first thing you actually do is see if you have a common factor, and in this case you actually do. We have 2. We take that out, we are left with 3x squared. And then here we're left with a 4x, and then we're left with a 1. So if you don't know common factor factorization, please go back. I will link it in the description as well. Alright, so basically what we're going to be factorizing is this part right here, which yeah, it's basically much more simplified. So let's write down the factors. So the factors of this part right here is going to be 3x and x, and the factors of this part here is simply going to be 1 and 1. And just like as I said, the strategy remains the same. So if you have a plus and a plus here, that means that even here you're going to have a plus and you're going to have a plus here. All right, so if we multiply 3x times 1, we get a 3x. We get a x times 1, we get an x. We add these two up, gives us a 4x. So this gives us the middle number, which means that the factors that we chose are correct. So we just wrap it up, draw two brackets. We have a plus, we have a plus, we have 3x this side, x this side, 1 this side, 1 this side, and there it is. All right, so let's get to the next example. All right, so the next example here, we are basically doing with the same thing. Our x there is not 1. Our coefficient in front of x squared is not 1. So here we have a minus followed by a plus. So just like in the previous video, what does that tell us? All right, so first of all, our factors, 3x, 3x. What are the factors of 2? It's going to be 2 and 1. All right, so if we start with the minus and head over with the plus, that means that both of these have to be negative, right? And then here, another thing that's different from the previous chapter is that when you're multiplying here, you might have to try different combinations of multiplication. So we can start off by multiplying 3x and minus 2, right? Which will give us minus 6x, right? And then we'll multiply x times minus 1, which gives us minus x, and this gives us minus 7x. This doesn't work. So we then tried a different way. We multiply 3x with minus 1, and then we multiply x with minus 2. What that gives us is a negative 3x and a negative 2x. and if we multiply those together, they will give us a minus 5x, which is our middle term, which means that we are probably correct in our factorization. So we open up the bracket. All right, both of them will be minus here. We have 3x this side and x this side. So since in this case, since we actually had to change up the order here, something you're gonna have to be really careful about in which bracket this -2 or this -1 is gonna fall in. All right, the way I always think about it is, since here 3x has to multiply with -1, that means that the -1 has to be in the opposite bracket, because when you're dealing with products, you're not multiplying within a bracket, you're multiplying across brackets. So whatever you're multiplying with has to be across the bracket. And then here the x has to multiply with -2, so that will be in here. And just like that, we have it factorized. All right, let's keep going. Okay, so we have 4x squared plus 2x minus 6. All right, so same thing as before. We notice here that we actually have a common factor. We have a common factor of 2. So this gives us 2x squared plus x minus 3. All right, so this is what we're actually going to be factorizing. So our factors are going to be 2x and x, right? And then we're going to have a 3 and a 1. All right, so we're going to multiply this. So what happens here, if it starts with a plus and then a minus, what's going to happen is one of the numbers is going to be a minus and the other one is going to be a plus. So what you want is, since here's a positive x squared, what we want is for the much larger number to be positive and the smaller number to be negative, so that when they add with each other, it gives you a positive number, right? So the strategy is the same as before. So in this case, we make 3 a positive, we make 1 a negative, and then we say 2 times 3, and so 2x plus 3 is going to give us 6x. X times -1 gives us minus x. That gives us a 5x, which is not what we have here in the middle. So we try it again in a different order. We multiply 2x with -1, and we multiply x with positive 3, which will give us a 3x, and then 2x times -1 gives us a -2x. Add these up together, that will give us an x, a positive x, which is what we have right here. So our final answer, we're gonna have 2x here, 2x here. All right, so since 2x multiplied with -1, the -1 has to be this side in the opposite bracket. And then since x multiplied with positive 3, this x multiplied with a positive 3, the 3 has to be in this bracket. And there we have it factorized. You can check the work if you want to. But for now, I'm moving on to the next one. All right. Now we have 8x squared minus 10x minus 3. All right. Again, we're using the same process we've used before. So we have to choose our factors here. Here, the factors of x of this ax squared term. Unlike before, we're gonna actually have multiple iterations of this. It's either gonna be 1 and 8, or 2 and 4. So for now, let's just try 2 and 4 and see if it works, see if it gives us something. So we use 2x and we use 4x, right? All right, here minus 3, so that's gonna be a 3 and a 1. All right, now we have to choose those signs. So if we have two minuses or two negatives, it means that we're gonna have to have a plus and a minus, and we try to make sure that the minus one is gonna have a much larger value than the smaller one. So the negative one is gonna have to be the larger one, so that when we add them together, our answer will be a negative. All right, so in this case, let's say we choose, so we're going to choose minus 3 as the negative one and positive 1. Then here we have 2x times minus 3. That gives us negative 6x, right? And then we have 4x times 1, which gives us 4x, which gives us a negative 2x, which is not our term here in the middle, so that does not work. All right, let's try switching it around and say 4 times negative 3 and 2 times positive 1. So what we're gonna have here is 2x times 1 gives us a 2x, and then 4x times negative 3 gives us negative 12x. We add these together, this gives us a negative 10x, which is what we have here in the middle, which means that the terms that we chose this time within this particular order will give us our factorization terms. All right, so here we were just lucky we did not have to try 8 and 1x as the factors, so we just got lucky here. But sometimes it just might not work, and then you're just gonna have to do it once again with 8x and add an x, and then with maybe a minus 3 and a positive 1, and repeat this whole process again. But in this case, we don't have to do it. All right, so we have 4x here and we have a 2x. All right, so the 4x multiplied with the minus 3, so the minus 3 has to be in the opposite bracket, and the 2x multiplied with positive 1, so that has to also be in the opposite bracket. And there we have it, nice and factorized. All right, so I hope this was helpful, and please share this as much as you can, like and subscribe. Please comment, tell us what we can do better, tell us what we're doing better. We would love to hear from you. So yeah, cheers, good luck, and Godspeed. Bye.